One of the most important ingredients to a nice and smooth clue scroll experience is to have custom-made bank presets for clues. With custom clue presets, you'll be able to immediately start a clue hunting trip without worrying about missing any important teleports or having to bank halfway because you forgot a certain item. Also, all of the items are in the same spot, which helps with muscle memory. So in this video, I will take you through my clue setup, including my inventory, equipment, and action bar. First, let's take a look at the inventory. I'll be going from left to right, top to bottom, covering each item and the reasons for them. The first two slots are my active clue and sealed clue scrolls. Next is the invitation box, which is a reward from the missing presumed death quest. The invitation box allows you to teleport to north of dig site, which is useful for a number of clue locations shown on the map. You can also use the Sawmill teleport or Wicked Hood Earth Altar teleport, which is nearby, but I prefer the invitation box because it is non-consumable. Next is any light source for the Lumbridge Swarm scan. You can skip this item if you have the glowworm perk or the fire making skillcape perk, but I prefer to just use the light source because I have more than enough spaces anyway. Next row, we have the Dragon's Medallion. This item is obtained after the Branches of Darkmeyer quest and is a very useful item for elite and master clues. This item brings you to 3 important locations, namely Barrows, Burr the Rod, and Darkmeyer for master clues, which I will talk about in another video. Bonus tip, you can recharge this item with Congealed Blood for up to 25,000 charges, which is insane and I highly recommend that. Next item, the Dorgesh-kaan Teleport Sphere, and obviously this item teleports you to the Dorgesh-kaan for the scan. You can make this after the Death to Dorgesh-kaan quest by talking to Odak north of the bank. The process of making them can be quite annoying, and let's hope that you'll be fixed soon. I recommend making a batch of these at a time, and it should last you for a while. Next are some Meerkat pouches which I always use for my scans because they increase your scan range by 5 and allow you to dig the clues without spawning wizards. I have a step-by-step guide on how to use the Meerkat scrolls easily using keybinds, and I'll link it in the description below. 2 squares right is the Book of Piracy, which is a quest reward from the Pieces of Hate quest. It has 10 charges and can be used to teleport to Mos le Harmless for the scan. Because the book does not consume any charges when teleporting within pirate lands, you can teleport without consuming any charges by first teleporting to Braindeath Island using the Dungeoneering cape before using the book. Next, I have the Passage of the Abyss. This item lets you add up to 6 teleport jewelry items and is one of my favourite as it allows you to centralize and access all of your jewelry teleports in one single keybind. The teleports I have on it are Dig Site Pendant, Ring of Slaying, Emmy of Glory, Ring of Dueling, Traveler's Necklace, and Games Necklace. One more advantage of it is that it allows you to recharge your teleports easily using Fortunate Components, and one Fortunate Component gives a generous amount of 500 tallies. So now you don't have to go through the process of making Slayer rings. The only downside of this item is that it is quite an investment at around 30M at this point of time, and it cannot be traded once you use it. But if you ask me, it's definitely worth it if you intend to do a lot of clues. Next is the Ectophile, which you can get from the Ghost Ahoy quest. Nothing special here except to teleport to Port Phasmatis. Next are the large rune pouches, to store teleport runes. Teleports from spellbooks are usually better than lodestone tallies in many cases as they usually take you to a better location, have a shorter delay, and are not interrupted by combat. You'll see the teleports that I use later on when we talk about the action bar. Next is a placeholder reward casket so that your newly solved casket goes to the location to prevent clicking on it accidentally. Following that is the enhanced Excalibur. I rarely use it, but it's handy if you need a healing. I carry it only because there's extra space. Next is the Arc Journal, which I use to teleport to Port Sarim as there are a number of useful clue spots around. You can also use the Port Sarim lodestone, but I prefer the Arc Journal because you'll get so used to it for master clues. Next is the Globetrotter Backpack, which I use to swap clues. The steps I generally skip are Fremennik Island scans and sometimes Elf land scans. The reason why it's in my inventory and not worn is because I'm wearing a Slayer cape, which I'll talk about when we reach the worn equipment setup. Next is the Ring of Kinship, and I use it to teleport to Daemonheim for the many campus locations there. Following that is the Desert Amulet from the Desert Achievement Diary. It allows you to teleport to Nada if you have completed the medium task or Uzer if you have completed the elite task. I recommend at least medium tasks as the Nada teleport is really handy for elite and master clues. Next is the Dungeoneering skill cape. Both the 99 and the 120 capes work the same. This cape is super useful as it takes you to many useful resource dungeons, like the Braindeath Island, Demonheim Woodcutting Island, Taverley Hellhound Dungeon, Taverley Blue Dragons, and Brimhaven Metal Dragons. It is also super useful for master clues. Next is the Fremennik Sea Boots 4, obtained after the Elite Fremennik Achievement Diary. It is used to teleport to Relica and is quite handy for a few compass locations. You can use a Relica Lodestone teleport or a cheap house teleport tab if you don't have this. Next is the 6-Edge Circuit Ring, a post-quest reward from the World Wakes quest. This item teleports you to the World Gate after the Fate of the Gods quest, which is handy for locations south of the Gnome Stronghold. I highly recommend getting this item, as it is useful for master clues, but if you don't want to get it, you can use the Eagle's Peak teleport or the Traveler's Necklace to teleport nearby. Finally, in the last slot are fetch casket scrolls, required for the Meerkat special ability. Okay, now let's move on to the wand equipment setup. First, we have the Slayer Helm. The purpose is to protect against the war beasts in the Lumbridge Swarms. I guess if you are using Search to skip the war beasts, you can leave it out. Next, I have the Attuned Crystal Teleport Seed. Although it's not really used for elite clues except for the Laeta teleport, which is also present on the Tirannwn quiver, I still have it because I got so used to using it. This item is a must get for master clues though. Next, I have the Slayer Cape. Again, both the 99 and the 120 variants will work here, as the purpose of them is to teleport to the Slayer Masters. There are 4 Slayer Masters that I frequently teleport to, specifically Spira at Taverley, the one at Kenafis, Chelda at Zanaris, and Samona at Polyvinich. Pretty sure I pronounced some of them wrong, so feel free to correct me. I just want to highlight one Slayer Master, Spira at Taverley, which is a Slayer Master I teleport to the most often. Why is that so? Well, it's because I almost always start my compass clue from the spot, unless I'm already on the ground and the arrow points elsewhere. Before I tell you why, I just want to say that the choice of the start point is mostly down to personal preference and muscle memory, so if you have a preferred start point already, it might be better if you stick to it. That being said, let me share the advantages of starting your compass clues at Taverley. It is located right at the middle of the map, and that gives you the most information about the location of the compass clue. Just imagine, if you start a clue at the far eastern corner of the map, almost every clue will point to the west, and you will likely have to teleport to a few more places to find the location. Also, another bonus is that there are a few compass locations nearby, especially the one south of the Witch's house. This location used to be super common, but became less common ever since the Dragon King laboratory spot came. Comment below if you feel the same way. Okay, I think we have talked too much about the Slayer Cape, so I'm going to move on to the next one, the Grace of the Elves. Really, I just want to rave how much I love this item, but I don't want to waste your time here. So basically, what it does is that it allows you to remotely access your Max Garden skilling teleport portals, which I have set to Overgrown Idols and Fairy Rings. One warning though, this item becomes untradeable once you use it, just like the Passage of the Abyss. Okay, next item is the Tirannwn quiver, obtained from the Tirannwn or Elfland Achievement Diary. You need at least up to hard tasks for all the useful teleports. Basically, it gives unlimited teleports to a few locations in the Elven lands, which is very useful for the Elven land scan. Next, weapons. No, you don't need T92s here, but I recommend dual wield melee if you have Bladed Dive. Otherwise, you can just use any weapons, but it's good to have mobile perk on it. Next are the Globetrotter outfit pieces, which I highly recommend you save your clue points for. I will not talk about them too much because most of you saving up for it will already know what it does. Lastly, the ring. I recommend the Luck of the Dwarves because of the useful teleports to Keldagrim and Varrock. Okay, finally we are nearly at the end of the video. I just want to quickly show you my action bars because it's a huge part of my setup. Here it is, but I don't need you to focus on that because frankly speaking it's a mess and you probably have your favorite keybinds. Instead, I want to highlight a few points. First, it's useful to have your teleports on keybinds. So your favorite lodestone and spellbook teleports. Next, you want to have useful items on your keybinds. Remember a few minutes ago I said that I will tell you why I wear the Slayer Cape instead of the Globetrotter Backpack? It's because by wearing it, you can very quickly open up the teleport interface using keybinds, instead of having to right click activate. That's the reason why I use 2 separate capes instead of putting them all on one support cape. Fighting with less interface is always better. Before we end, there are a few honorable mentions. These items are very useful and probably should have a place in my setup, but it's just me sticking to my old ways. First is the portable fairy ring. It does what it says, let you use fairy rings from anywhere. The next item is the Dave spellbook, obtained after the Evil Dave's Big Day Out quest. What it does is it carries cheap teleport tabs. For example, the cheap Adoin tab teleports you to West Adoin, which is very useful for hard clues too. And that's about it for this video. I really hope you get something out of it. Leave a like if you like this type of videos and feel free to critique my setup in the comments below. Lastly, I want to thank you for helping me hit my first 100 subscribers. It really motivates me to keep making these videos, knowing that it actually helps you. Okay, that's it. Bye!